So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Welcome and happy Friday Forum. We started these small business community forums about a month ago to provide another avenue for small business owners and emerging entrepreneurs to find some support and free technical assistance and advice as we go through this crisis. I think this is our third in the series. Right now, we're tentatively running these through early August. If there is a need to continue after that point, we will continue to do so. A bit about PathStone Enterprise Center. We are a nonprofit CDFI. We have been in existence since 1990. Something. I think Hubert can be more specific. We've been around for more than 20 years. Hubert, do you have the specific date that we started?
1998.
1998. I wasn't born then, as you can tell from my face that hasn't fallen into place yet. We are an affiliate of PathStone Corporation. PathStone Corporation is a nonprofit human services community development organization that has been around for 50 years. It's headquartered in Rochester and operates in 7 states and in Puerto Rico. PathStone Enterprise Center provides small business loans and technical assistance to individuals in financially underserved communities. Our small business loans range from $5,000 to $250,000. Additionally, we provide technical assistance through the generosity of funders like KeyBank and 5 Star and M&T Bank, and several foundations. We provide business development education, workshops, different workshops covering different topics, one-on-one technical assistance with industry experts, monitoring and coaching, networking, and promotion of your small business and your products and services. You can learn more about us by visiting theenterprisecenterinc.org. You can follow us on Facebook at PathStone Enterprise and on Instagram at The Enterprise Center Inc. So welcome again, and thank you to our panelists. I really do appreciate your generosity of time and knowledge. Rumella Cameron is the founder and CEO of Conversance Business Solutions. Yasmin Mattox is the founder and CEO of Arkatecht. Michael McCarley is a small business reengineering specialist and a director at SBEI. And Adam Tidrow is a business development officer with PathStone Enterprise Center. So good morning, panelists. Thank you for joining us. If you'd like to take this opportunity and just introduce yourselves and say a little bit about your company and what you do.
Sure, I can go first. My name is Rumella Cameron, founder and CEO of Conversance Business Solutions. We are a full service administrative support and consultancy firm where we provide virtual assistance services to small to medium-sized businesses. And recently we started offering credit repair services to business owners seeking funding.
I'm Adam Tidrow. I'm a business development officer for PathStone Enterprise Center here in Buffalo, and I focus primarily on lending, small business lending and microloans, and then one-on-one technical assistance, so that free consulting arm of PathStone Enterprise Center, where we get to go in and work directly with our clients and help them with everything from formulating their idea all the way to executing that plan and getting additional funding and kind of higher strategy processes.
I am Yasmin Mattox, the founder and CEO of Arkatecht. We create web-based professional advancement tools for working parents. We have a platform called Atlas, and it's where you can find virtual right now professional development events and secure the childcare needed to attend them all in one place.
So now is the point of the forum where each of the small business owners who are attending gets an opportunity to tell us a little bit about themselves. So if you would please, one by one, unmute yourselves and share your name, the name of your business. Tell us what your business is about, and very briefly, what does business success mean for you?
Hi, I'm Shardy. I can go first if that's okay.
Yes.
My name is Shardy Adger. I am the owner and founder of Impulse Design and Catering. We're a brand new business. Our vision is to, we basically provide platters or trays to for any occasion. So we specialize in fruit and veggie platters. So we make an ordinary platter into art. Right now, our vision is to get all our local produce from local farmers in Western New York. So that's our big initiative, is providing health and wellness and being able to look at a different scheme of things, instead of having potato chips at parties or different occasions. Have something that's creative and decorative at the same time healthy. So that's basically what we're doing right now. We're trying to do, and what business success means to me is basically taking my ordinary and basically taking an idea that maybe seem extreme and making that extraordinary. So that's what business success means to me, and I guess in a nutshell. So that's me.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joy Bergslaw. I'm with Jimmy Reeder, my husband. I'm the executive director of the Coffee Connection, which is also Project Empower. We are a nonprofit that contains a business within itself in order to be the container for a program. We work with women in recovery from addiction, trauma, and incarceration. And the only way you can be an intern or get a job with us is that you at least have to have a history of substance abuse and be a woman. Felonies are considered a positive with us because that means you need extra help getting on your feet. So business success for us means providing support for our program, and we generally raise about 65% of our own revenue apart from grants and donors. We roast fair trade, organically grown, sustainably farmed coffee, also done by our focus population. And our greatest challenge has always been the financial support of our program. And our goal is to pay our women a livable wage if possible, and which would preclude them from health insurance, which is a huge issue. And business success for me is being able to support our women and to work with yet more women with these challenges.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Donita Munn, and I am the founder of Munn's the Word Recovery Coaching Center, which is located at 1526 Genesee Street in Buffalo, New York. I am a certified recovery coach as well as a life coach, and my goal is to help women that is suffering from any type of substance use or self-defeating behaviors to come into knowledge and awareness that your past does not dictate your future. I myself, as a person, as being clean from crack cocaine for 25 years, are showing ladies, especially in the inner side, in the inner community on the east side, that if I can do it, I can overcome obstacles and barriers, they can too. And what my business success means to me is doing more networking, finding funding to continue my program, as well as opening up a recovery housing program for women and children. Thank you.
Anita, thank you so much for sharing that and for sharing.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Burer Kothari. Our business, we're a set of table tennis coaches. Table tennis is an Olympic sport. It's been played in the Olympics since the 80s. It's less well known in the United States, but it's really the second largest participation sport in the world. We intend to provide coaching in table tennis, provide a center for children and older adults to play table tennis. We, because of the COVID-19 situation, are closed right now. However, we're pivoting right now to starting to pivot right now to online presence and try to encourage table tennis in a sort of broken down fashion via videos, coach table tennis from people can join in from their basements, basement table tennis tables, and start to learn table tennis sequentially in a more step-by-step fashion. For us, business success, well, we're just starting out. We need a facility. We need to understand what it means, in this environment, how to expand, in what ways we can, and what opportunities there are in this new environment. Yeah, and I'm glad to be here.
Good morning.
Oh, hi, Eve. There you are.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Great. I'd like to introduce myself to the rest of the team there. My name is Eve Richard Blanc. I am a professional photographer. I specialize in individual headshots, corporate headshots, branding shots. We do quite a bit of work with nonprofit around the region, so we cover probably around a 50 to 100 mile radius around Buffalo. We have a small studio in the heart of the city, on East Utica, around Main Street. I also currently now, I'm providing about an hour of volunteer time to do a documentary around on how the pandemic in Buffalo is really affecting our community, affecting small business, affecting essential workers, affecting communities of color. I'm currently now partnering with a nonprofit art gallery where we're going to be doing a series of really high-end portrait to really share really the essence of the individuals that are really working with us in this community to keep us safe. So I'm pretty excited to be here today. I'm more of an observer than anything else, but I am a small business owner. A good majority of my business is done with small business owners who want to brand themselves. So I am thrilled to be here this morning to learn with everybody and understanding. I've been a professional photographer for 35 years. I attended the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City, where I've worked in the field of corporate headshots, fashion, and also commercial photography. I've been in sales and marketing for over 30 years. And about 5 years ago, I really felt that I needed to get back into the creative side, the passion that I have and the love to create opportunities for others through photography. And so I launched, my small business really doing photography. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here this morning. And I think that we're going to have an exciting forum, and I'm sure I'm going to learn quite a bit from everybody. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Eve. Jesse Siegfried, good morning. Thank you for joining. Would you like to share with us?
Yeah, I'm actually, I got invited here by Rumella. I'm actually a banker. I was a business banker for a long time, and I'm an assistant branch manager for Citizens Bank, but a lot of business banking background and a lot of knowledge around kind of what's needed and finding, solutions for businesses to streamline, working capital, cash flow, and people and stuff like that. So, I'm just kind of listening in on you guys, and if any questions kind of, veer towards the banking world or finance world. I know there's a lot going on with the PPP program right now. Any questions around that, you can just kind of pepper me with whatever you got. But thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
My name is Brenda Calhoun. The name of my business is Onyx Global Group. And we do residential and commercial construction. new construction as well as renovations and restorations. I've always enjoyed doing something in the field of construction. I have owned rental properties and started doing a major contract in 2010 with my church. And from then on, I've just been getting involved in different projects. I got licensed actually in 2016. Prior to that, I was acting more as a consultant because I have a commercial insurance background. So I knew a lot about replacing properties that had been damaged in fires. So it became a serious interest of mine, and I decided to step out on my own in construction, and it's been challenging but quite interesting. We are doing okay. We're surviving the storm so far. I thank God for that. Primarily, we do residential work, but at this point, because we can't enter into any unoccupied dwellings, we're predominantly doing commercial work on vacant dwellings at this point, on vacant buildings. So that's about it. And I look forward to this forum. Thank you.
So one of the disturbing trends that we noticed as the crisis hit and we were aggressively doing outreach to our small business borrowers and technical assistance clients was that people seemed woefully unprepared to apply for any financial assistance that was being made available. People didn't know where to put their hands on their incorporation papers, their tax ID, their bank statements, payroll statements, their profit and loss statements, or in many cases, people just didn't have that information. So we want to address that issue this morning, and we want to be able to provide you with some tips, tools, and resources that you can begin to use to get organized and start planning for what's ahead. Whether or not we like it, coronavirus has provided us with some space and time to do some introspection, some reflection, to take stock of where we are and begin to think about how we can change the way we live our lives, the way we do business, and find the opportunities that are out there, even in the midst of this crisis. And there are opportunities if you look and keep your minds open. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to start out by taking stock, and we're gonna ask a few questions, and please unmute yourselves and feel free to participate in this part of the forum. So what has this crisis taught you about yourself? I think for me personally, even though I'm usually an introvert, I like my solitude. I think this is a little bit too much solitude. And even though at times the ability to work from home or the opportunity to work from home seem like an attractive one, I really am itching to get back into my office.
I'll share, and hopefully can everybody see me?
Sort of. There is some light coming.
Oh no. Hopefully that's a bit better. If not, I'll move once we get to the next question. But I think what I've learned about myself is that and perhaps I would say it's actually not unique to myself, but I think as a lot of medical and mental health experts have said as of late, you know, it takes a certain amount of time to get into a routine. And so initially, I think I figured I would just continue on with what I had been doing, but I did not have really the sense to say, Yasmin, take it easy, collect your thoughts, collect whatever else needed to be collected, and take a break, even if that break is just 5 minutes to, collect my thoughts or whatnot. I think I am learning more and more that as business owners, we are only as good as our mental health. And so if you're not taking intentional time out of your day to really ensure that you are of sound mind and that you feel okay mentally, you will not get very far, which is why, thankfully, I think a lot of resources are springing up about the mental health needs of entrepreneurs in particular.
Anyone else?
I would like to jump in on that. This crisis actually allowed me to slow down and to really start prioritizing what is important and what my time and energy should be focused on. Also, with this time, the extra time that we had, received, this could be like a blessing in disguise, right? As business owners, we have a lot of to-dos, right? And you push to the side certain things that should be getting done. So hopefully you had a chance to sit back and look at maybe, okay, let's update my website because we are going to get past this crisis, right? Maybe I should spend some time on putting together social media, or maybe I should take up this course to help improve my skills. So for me, I was able to take that extra time to focus on those things that I was pushing aside.
Great, thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll throw a shout out here on this one. I think the biggest piece for me was just the fact of not being as technically in depth as I should have been. This crisis has shifted the entire model of how I normally function. That's the biggest thing. And how to really begin to learn to dealing with people, quite honestly, at a distance. I'm a person-to-person type of individual. I was not brought up on technology, internet, or cell phones. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've got coming from this.
Thank you for sharing, Michael. Glad you could join us. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll take a shot at it. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Go ahead.
That's Borer, and we're in a sort of maybe a more extreme situation than some other businesses. It's possible in the sports business, especially with close contact sports like table tennis. I think it's been a little challenging for us to understand what we can do. Since we're smaller and just starting out, I think it was easier for us to pivot a little bit, and to understand, maybe there are things we can do that are not perhaps as close contact as what's needed right now. So we kind of started to think out of the box a little bit, and try to understand what we can do in terms of making people look at sports in a different way. So that's something that's a challenge, and I don't know if you have any answers as far as, but we have things that we can try, and I think we're going to try and figure out, throw something at it and see what sticks maybe. That's a beginning, but I think as far as I see, I think it's about a year or so that we're not going to have the same sort of environment that we anticipated. So I think we do need to make major changes in what our philosophy is of sports coaching.
Okay, thank you. There was someone else who wanted to share.
Yeah, this is Joy Bergfalk masquerading as Jimmy Reeder from the Coffee Connection. So 65% of our revenue comes from retail and wholesale. And you can imagine how that has taken a hit. I think retail is around is down about 60%, wholesale like 63. So in many ways, this is a threat to our existence. Fortunately, we do have the SBEI PPP loan, and we just got notified of a $10,000 grant yesterday, and we were the first Kiva loan in Rochester, and we've just received our third. So for the moment, we're okay, but it's kind of like it's like taking a puzzle with all the pieces and throwing all the pieces up in the air and finding out where they land. So we cannot prognosticate the future. So I have no idea if we will resume music at our locations. And I think personally what has been hardest for me, and I'm doing a lot better with, is my sense of responsibility. The Coffee Connection is exempt from unemployment because we are, for unemployment taxes, because we are constantly doing training. So when this hit, obviously our women come from a background of poverty. First, how are they going to be safe? And second, how are they going to be paid? And of course, that's been resolved. But I know that I took it far too much to heart and felt far too responsible for that, and worked almost 12 hours a day trying to figure out all these things while managing the other pieces as well. So the big challenge is putting together our plan of moving forward, and also putting pieces together where some pieces from the past are missing and there are new pieces that we need to find.
Great, thank you. And I think we addressed some of this. What has the crisis taught you about your business? Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your experiences. Now we want to ask, are you prepared to take advantage of financial assistance? And it sounds like the Coffee Connection was able to do that, and that's great. I am so happy to hear that you got your PPP and you've received some grants and some low to no interest loans. But the others of you on small business owners on the call, were you able to take advantage of financial assistance? Did you have the documentation you needed to apply for these loans and grants ready and available to apply quickly and take advantage of financial assistance? Brenda, what was your experience with PPP? And I think you also applied for the EIDL loan.
Right, I did receive my PPP. I was prepared because, I've always, by being in, having my own insurance agency, I always had, tax returns and all that information prepared. I've been working with the same CPA for, I don't want to say about over 20 years. So, I try and stay on point with that. The issue that I'm having right now is switching from my existing bookkeeping system over to QuickBooks Pro, and trying to balance both so that I make sure I get all the information correctly in both systems. But I was able to get all the documentation. I use Paycheck, so my payroll records were there. So I was able to get all of that together, pretty quickly. Right. So that, that wasn't an issue for me.
Good.
But I still have issues when it comes to my financial records. That's what I'm really, really trying to hone in on now. I'm looking for, an experienced bookkeeper. It's very difficult to. That's one of the most difficult things I've had to try and work out. It's very difficult to find someone who has experience and is willing to work for a small business. Now, most of the ones with experience are making big bucks, so it's very difficult in that end. But other than that, You know, I was able to take advantage of the PPP. I haven't heard anything regarding idle yet. So I'm still waiting for a response. But I also had a working relationship with my bank. So that made it easy too. And I can imagine that can be very difficult for small business owners if you don't have a person inside the bank that really knows your business and wants to help you. That's, you know, and they were really going after the larger businesses because they were making money on based on the size of the loans that they were providing. So the small guys were like not a priority, I think, unless you had somebody in there that was really wanting to help you quickly.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Brenda. Anyone else? Everyone else was able to apply for financial assistance quickly and were successful in getting that financial assistance. I'm assuming because everyone is quiet, that's not an issue. Are you financially resilient? How much cash on hand do you have? How much savings do you have?
To your previous piece, I think there are a lot of people who may have had certain things in play only because of how long they've been operating. And if you actually are in the marketplace, you are almost required, almost forced to really play in a larger playing field. However, the receipt of those funds, which should have been out almost 2 months ago, people are just now starting to get it. So I think, at least for myself, I've always had my paperwork prepared, but even as a micro enterprise is what I consider myself, more than just a small business, waiting for everybody to get online based on the massive confusion that existed is one of the bigger issues I think a lot of people are actually dealing with.
So how financially resilient are you? I mean, we've been on pause in New York State now since March. Do most people on this call have, 6 months of cash on hand, 6 months of savings in the bank? Financial experts tell you that it is the least amount of money you should have for an emergency situation. But we know that a lot of people in this country, that is not the reality for them.
I don't think that's the reality for most businesses here. It's very difficult to, I mean, if you have payroll and expenses, to have 6 months of savings, if you're, if your business is not of size where you can generate that kind of cash, it's just very difficult for 6 months. And then one of the problems that I saw was, with the PPP loan, you have to keep your payroll going. And now I'm fighting with the guys that don't want to come back because they're making more on unemployment than they would if they work. So it's just a battle every day.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Can I just interject really quickly?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, part of what a lot of people are finding about financial resilience has to do with whether you're able to pivot your business and what your main offerings are. For some people, that's possible or relatively easy, depending on the situation. For other business owners, it's going to be a heavy lift. But there are a number of resources, some of which I believe are available today through what'll be given later on. But we can surely supplement. A lot of people are making really interesting pivots in order to be solvent. So don't think that just because something you've never done is a possibility. for others, it's not a possibility for you. There are a lot of people who are finding, ironically perhaps, that their previous, pre-COVID business idea wasn't gaining that much traction, but they've switched it up a bit and now they're finding a lot of demand. So just keep your mind open to ensuring financial resilience and solvency by potentially pivoting what you're doing, in a cost-effective way. And I would say cost is not only a measure of actual dollars or investment you may have to spend initially, but also time and energy.
Thank you, Yasmin, and that leads us into the panel discussion and Q&A session, a part of this session. So the panelists, if you would just address some of the issues that our small business owners raised during taking stock, and if anyone has questions, feel free to type in the chat or unmute yourselves and ask your questions. Rumella, I specifically wanted you to talk about in an upcoming slide where we sort of give some tips and tools for people to stay organized. We talk about not ignoring financial problems. And if you could talk about how people should approach their creditors during this time to address any issues that probably existed before COVID and has occurred because of COVID.
Sure. I actually have a slide that I did prepare for another webinar a couple weeks back regarding what you should be doing during this time with your credit. And some of the tips I would like to share is, contacting your current creditors and asking them for deferments, seeing if they can waive any late fees. I know with the credit reports, they're not supposed to report anything that's negative right now because of the pause. So like say for instance, you weren't able to pay a certain bill because your income has decreased significantly because of COVID-19. They can't go ahead and just report on your, after 30 days and report that you were negative or you were late. They're actually supposed to be reporting good standing just because of the entire situation. So I would encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to reach out to your creditors, see if you can get a deferment, see if they can postpone a payment for you. I know some people that, like for instance, they have barber shops and salons, they're completely out of work and they're not making any type of money. So I know one of my clients, I had instructed them to contact the dealership where they just literally purchased a vehicle, I would say a few months before all this happened, and they have some really high payments. So they were able to contact the dealership. They waived April and May's payments, but then they're going to put it on the back end of the loan. So just see what options are out there for you in that regard. And I hope that was helpful as far as the credit piece goes. Is there any other questions?
Anybody have any questions for Rumella specifically about how to deal with your creditors?
This is Michael. I'd like to make a comment also and to definitely piggyback a lot of what Yasmin actually had said. But I think a lot of people, if COVID didn't bring an attention to the fact of the things that you have to pay attention to as a small business owner, then people have to begin to wake up. A lot of times what I'm finding in small businesses is a lot like the mail that you have bills and you just don't open it up. You know it's a bill, but you need to open it up and actually see what it is so you can put it into the plan. Now, whether you can pay for it or not at that time is another story altogether. But people have to become aware of what it is they have, what they don't have, to also check your credit report. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is there's a new provision that's now in play that actually allows individuals to go in and check their credit report as often as they like at this point because of COVID. Beforehand, it used to be just once a year. So that's definitely to an advantage of a small business owner. Money in and of itself, we operate in three realms. Cash, which still is royal on a good day, despite the fact that everything's trying to be put non-paper. Credit, you have to be able to get it, but also you need to understand how to leverage it. There are a lot of people that are not able to get credit or are going about it in, I'm not going to say the wrong way, but they're not understanding that you can't wait till the last minute to go apply for a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 loan that you need as mobilization costs for a project you're dealing with if you've never talked to your banker. You have to be aware and pay attention to the fact of use of your personal credit cards. There are some people that have phenomenal personal limits that they're using for their business, but they are not incorporating the costs that they spend for the business appropriately on their books, which also may lend itself to also what is the structure of your company. But we have to really pay attention to what's out there financially, not only in the street, but also just in our own house. What do we have? How do we have it? How can we make it work for us? And where the gaps are, then we need to research the availability and access to those particular sources.
Jesse, I wondered if you might have some input.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, what he just said is super important. You know, I would say that if there's one person you should be able to just really be honest with about your finances as a business, and if there's one person you should be able to just go to their desk, throw everything you have on their desk and say, look, I need help with this. Can you figure this out? I have these creditors. My business credit score is this. I'm worried about this. It should be your banker. It should be your business banker. And you should be able to trust that person, you know, that they have the knowledge to help you make the right decisions. That's number one. And you should also be able to know that that banker is fighting for you and has your best interest in mind and not just their own, because all bankers have goals. They have all their own stuff. But you need to know that that banker cares about your business not only surviving but thriving. So if you can't check those two boxes, you know, do I trust my banker to have the knowledge to figure this out, and do I trust this banker to have my best interest in mind? I'd find somebody else, or even in the same branch, who you can check those two boxes, because especially during this time, and when you're afraid to open that envelope or whatever it is, you can go to your bank, open that envelope together and look at it and be like, okay, let's figure this out, because that's their job. Like that's what their job should be. That's why they come to work every day and get paid, is to help you figure that stuff out. So yeah, that's 100% true, especially during times like these. So for sure.
Thank you, Jesse. Adam, from a small business perspective, what would you advise small business owners to be doing at this time?
Yeah, right now I think when the tide goes out, we see who's swimming naked, so to speak. I think that's Warren Buffett's saying. But right now, in times of crisis, you see what's the best about your business and yourself as a business owner, and you can also see your deficiencies a little more clearly. You know what's working and what's not. So I think a lot of business owners don't take the time to work on the business enough. I think we get really focused on working in the business, kind of handling day-to-day stuff, putting out fires, and running around like crazy, just trying to get the business of the business done. But I think right now is a good time to kind of take stock and step back and say, okay, what has been working for me? What isn't working for me? What are areas where I need to focus? And I think, we've talked about it a bit here today is organization. And one thing that I preach to business owners is having some kind of weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual schedule of when you do certain things. Brenda mentioned converting her bookkeeping and accounting from her current system over to QuickBooks, and that's a task. And I think that it's important for us to, as business owners, to know we need to know our numbers. And the best way to do that is to have a strong system of tracking income and expenses and draws on equity and things like that. So right now is a good time to kind of update those, update your systems, update how you work, whether it's, QuickBooks or scheduling yourself, or making sure that your filings are done on time, your quarterly filings, your annual filings, making sure that you're scheduling those and making time for those. They seem like, all of those things are kind of pains in the butt, but they have to be done, and they need a lot of attention and a lot of focus. So those kind of things really need to be, I think right now is a good time for those things to kind of take center stage, and for us to learn how can I better operate my business when things get back to full speed. How can I set up systems so that now I'm running more efficiently and more effectively?
And can I chime in here and piggyback off of what Adam said? It's very important to time block. You want to, you want to visit with your money. So like maybe every week, every 2 weeks, and definitely every month, find some time, an hour or 30 minutes to an hour, to visit your money and truly understand what your budget is and what your expenses look like. A little formula that I use is called the 30-30-40. 30%, cost of sales, no more than 30% of expenses. Then you want to look at 30% what you will put into marketing. So like lead generation, social media posts that you're boosting. And then you want to look at your profit as well, and preserving as much money as possible. And looking at this entire crisis, I'm sure a lot of us had probably sat down and looked at our bills and said, okay, maybe I can cut this out. Try to find a way to consolidate some of your expenses. Put them in categories. You have category A, which is critical for your business to succeed. B is nice to have, and then C is just not essential. So maybe taking this time to look at what's really important, what you can cut back on as well, is very important during this time. So I just wanted to share that, and I can put that in the chat as well.
Great, thank you, Yasmin. And at the end of the call, we will send these slides out, and there are a couple of financial management tools that we have on this slide here, such as the 1863 weekly cash projection tool. SCORE has a couple of cash flow statements. They are Excel spreadsheets with built-in formulas that will help you keep track of your expenses and be able to forecast your finances. We have some small business resources that we'd like to share with you as well. The CDC has made public its reopening guidance for cleaning and disinfecting public spaces, workplaces, businesses, schools, and homes. Please review that. It's very important. I heard on the news this morning that 1.8 billion people, it has received 1.8 billion clicks already. So people are consuming this information. It's very helpful. It's very important as we begin to consider reopening. Yasmin, if you take us through the next few small business resources, as you were the one who provided these, and thank you very much.
Surely. So next up, we have a couple of resources that are really for professional and social networking purposes. And they're also communities that have a lot of subject matter experts, especially in advertising, and law. And so you can get just a ton of a wealth of information from these two groups. The first of which is Project W. Project W is an organization, a nonprofit arm of Davis Wright Tremaine Law Firm, which is a global law firm, and they primarily focus on corporate law and business matters. They have different branches of this nonprofit arm, but they are all dedicated to helping business owners, specifically who are women. They are not exclusive in the sense that you can still, if you are not a woman, go to their website and see the resources that they have and they provide. They've been posting them for the public at large ever since the pandemic started. Next up is Eureka. Eureka is a web-based community platform, and they are pretty much driven by different decentralized community groups. So if marketing and advertising is something you need help with, you can find free mentors who have worked in the field for a number of years there. Whatever your needs are, they have specific groups and threads that are relevant to those concerns. They also provide a lot of giveaways. So one of the co-founders used to be the head of, I believe, data analytics at Facebook. And so they often have a lot of tips that can help you better understand your customer segments, especially now. And so they often will give away free Facebook and Instagram ad credits, which of course right now is great if you don't have revenue coming in. There's also, along those same lines, Facebook Blueprint, which pretty much encapsulates the 15 plus years of market research data that Facebook has accumulated. And it's very methodical. It's broken down nicely and very, very simply. So you don't have to be an expert in marketing or PR or whatnot to understand all of the content. And it's all action oriented to help you pretty much quickly and easily put together marketing collateral to help you during this time. And then finally, there's Harrow, which is short for Help a Reporter Out. It is also a web-based platform where pretty much major news outlets or media outlets provide pitch requests that are sent out 3 times a day, and you can decide how often you want those emails coming to you. And they filter it out based on, if they're doing stories on health, technology, small businesses, etc. And in addition to knowing a number of founders and business owners for whom this platform has been really helpful, my own business has gotten a lot of, early on when we started, media attention from this platform, and it's free. So those are additional resources that I will personally vouch for, which can be very helpful. There's also mental health resources, because I mentioned in the beginning that mental health is critical. It's about as essential as it gets. Headspace is an increasingly well-known mental health and wellness app, and they are doing, I believe, free trials as well as free accounts for people who are unemployed. Now, I wouldn't swear to it that includes business owners who have essentially had to shut down their businesses as a result of the pandemic, but you could certainly look. And from what I've heard and understood, they are very reasonable. So that is really an invaluable app, Headspace. And then this other link has 16 resources for entrepreneurs to improve your mental health. So it's a collection of not only apps that help you, and some of the best or perhaps most helpful actually check in with you during certain times of the day to help you redirect your thinking if you're having negative thinking. And then there's also the traditional links and phone numbers for NAMI, which is National Alliance for Mental Illness. So there are a number of resources there for mental health as well.
Great, thank you. Financial assistance, these are some CDFIs who are still taking PPP applications. I know that banks are also still, some banks are also still taking PPP applications, but these are 3 CDFIs in the New York region who are taking PPP applications. Additionally, there are some grants and disaster relief loans. I want to highlight the Urban League Small Business Relief and Retooling Grant for small business owners, women and people of color owned businesses in Monroe County. It went live this morning, and if there's anybody interested in receiving information about that grant, please type your email address privately to me in the chat, and I will forward that information to you. LISC also reopened their grant portal, I think yesterday, and you have up until the 20th of May to submit your application. The Neighborly Fund, which opened, I think, May 1st. I'm not sure if they still have funds available, but I did check the website, and it did not say that they had run out of funds. For folks in Erie County, the Regional Development Corporation Disaster Relief Loan. It's a low interest loan for small businesses in Erie County. Facebook has some small business grants. They've been offering small business grants. They're closed right now, but you can still sign up to receive notification when the next grant is open. And Google Ad Credits. If you have a Google Ad account, they will add credits to your Google Ad account. And I know we're at the top of the hour, just a little bit past. So before we go, I just want to share some upcoming events that we'll be providing. Pecky has this forum. We provide this forum every other Friday. You can register on Eventbrite at Friday Forum for Small Business.eventbrite.com. We have our Biz Up Buffalo Survival Series. You can subscribe on YouTube, and every week, I think we update our YouTube channel with 2 new videos for small business owners on different topics. Michael did one a couple weeks ago on how to sell in the midst of a crisis. I think there's a live Q&A this afternoon at 2, but you can get more information on our YouTube channel. And Yasmin, who's on the call with us, will be doing a child care provider series starting June 3rd. And you can register for that, or if you know someone who's in the child care business, at buildmychildcarebiz.eventbrite.com. If there's anything you would like to share or promote, please type it in the chat before you leave this call. Also, if there are topics that you would like us to cover at future forums, please type that in the chat. Well, that's it from us. I would like to thank our panelists for their time and expert advice and counsel. And I'd like to thank you for joining the forum, and we hope to see you again at the next forum. Again, please remember to type any additional questions you have in the chat. We'll be saving the chat, and we will be following up with an email to attendees with the presentation, and we'll be responding to any questions that you type in the chat. So thank you all for joining. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Everybody be safe.
Yes, please.